What if we can have a Windows-like experience in our Linux machine? In this video, I will demonstrate how I set up the GUI setup on our Linux virtual machine. Let's start.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Hari. So in this video, I will show you how I set up a graphical user interface on your Linux virtual machine and access it remotely using RDP, which is nothing but a remote desktop protocol. Whether you are using Microsoft Azure or AWS EC2 instance or any other cloud provider, by using this method, you can seamlessly set up your GUI on your Linux virtual machine and use that. Before I start, first, I need to share why we actually need this. Most of the desktop application like MS Office, VS Code, or any other kind of desktop application, which is actually need to run head not in head mode, not headless mode. So in that case, we need a GUI, and if if you want to drag and drop and file management thing, I think setting GUI is the best option. So yeah, we'll start. So before that, we need to create a virtual machine. So in this case, I will using my Azure virtual machine. I have some free credits in Azure. So first step is creating a virtual machine. I hope my screen is sharing. So this is my Azure portal. I just go to virtual machine, create virtual machine, Azure virtual machine. So resource group, I just click create new name. I just give it as RDP and virtual machine name RDP disk. Availability zone, I don't need any kind of availability zone. This is for a test running. And I just use authentication type as password because most of us instead of going with SSH key using password is we just use this as our own laptop. So here I choose password and I give some random name like by default Azure provide that username as Azure user and password I give some random thing. Yeah. So inbound rules in that I just allow selected port here. I just enable HTTP and HTTPS because we need to communicate with all and just click review and create. We don't want to set up any kind of additional information. So yeah, it's creating now. We'll wait for 2 minutes. Yeah, it's creating. So once you created, we need to log in with our machine. So instead of go with SSH, because we are not using that SSH publicly, instead of that we use that username password. So yeah, in this we use the serial console. If you are using AWS, I think we have a separate dedicated console login for that. Yeah, we can able to use that here. The same setup you can inside the virtual machine. You just create the cloud provider, the vendor only different, and the commands are same. So you can use in any cloud provider. It's creating. Yeah, it's created. You go to the resource and if I click connect, it shows connect option. I click connect and more ways to connect. There are many options. Here you can see remote desktop protocol. Most Linux machines do not have RDP enabled. Use SSH or install a desktop environment like XRDP. So in this virtual machine, we are going to do that install a desktop environment like XRDP. So for that, we have a serial console option. Go to serial console. Here, what is this is like instead of going with direct SSH, we can able to access our Linux virtual machine in that Azure portal itself. So it shows that RDB disk login. My username is Azure user. My password is I give my password. I think my password is correct. Okay, well, let's do it. Azure user. Okay, if it's wrong, no issues. We need to go for connect and reset password or keys. I'm not good with remembering usernames and passwords. So Yeah, I just give the password. It's updating here. Yeah, the updation is completed now. Now then we go to the connect, more way to connect, serial console, Azure user. I hope now it's correct. Yeah, now it's succeeded. Azure user RDP test. So now the login is succeeded. Next, the first step is we need to update our system. Like the basic thing. Every time if we first log in with our system, we just need to do the sudo update, sudo sudo app update, sudo app update. Ask for password. Yeah, in the serial console, this is one thing we need to consider. Every time we need to enter a password here. So yeah, so we just updated that. Second, we are just going to we use XFCE, which is a Linux-based desktop environment we need to install. That name is XFCE. So we are going to install that. I just paste the command. Sudo apt install -y XFCE for goodies. I just install the command. So it's installing. Now it's completed our XFCE desktop environment, which is installed successfully. The next step is we need to install the XRDP. XRDP is nothing but a Linux remote desktop protocol. So remote desktop protocol is nothing but it actually helps us to communicate our local machine with our the Linux virtual machine, right? So for the communication, we need a protocol, right? That protocol is our XRDP protocol. So for that, we need to install that XRDP. We install that XRDP. So the next thing is we just check the version. XRDP hyphen. Yeah, it shows that 3.0.3 which is installed. Just a minute, I just show which is use the clear to clear the screen. And now one more thing, that XRDP is like as I said, it's a remote desktop protocol, which is actually leads us to communicate with our local machine to the Linux virtual machine, right? So we need to restrict some kind of permissions, because if everything is like every models bundles are open in our virtual machine, actually the remote desktop protocol is not allowing us to communicate with our virtual machine. So we need to restrict some of access. For that, I use this sudo nano etc security limits and thought config. I need to edit this file first. So this is the file we have. Copy paste. So it's an nano editor, right? So here, paste, Control X. Yes. I save the file. Now we just need to create a systemd service for that. Systemd is nothing but it's a service which actually makes, like, we need to create a service which actually run in the background process. So sudo make directory -b etc systemd system.config.d. So creation, we just create the file for the limitations. Like what are the limitations we need to set here? So in this, we add that sudo nano etc systemd. Inside the directory, we just create a limits.config file. So once we create it, we need to add a content. So this is a manager default limit no file 65535. So we are just adding that default limit no file. Like we don't restrict anything. By adding that, our remote machine can able to, like our RDP can able to understand, okay, user added that, so I just can able to access, like I just can read all and send it to my local machine. So I just save controls. Yes, I will save. Next is we need to create a specific override for that, because for now we just added the limitation, but that limitation is only for that system. But we need to inform our XRDP to use that. For that, we need to create a directory for that XRDP. Paste. So to make directory system XRDP services. Then we need to create another file for the override. Override.config. So inside that, we just use the same thing, limit no file. And once we completed all that thing, we just need to check whether the session of that XRDP is correct or not. What we're doing here is we are just checking whether our XRDP is, which is nothing but our remote test protocol, can able to use that desktop environment, which we install as XFCE, right? So we just use that echo XFCE session. So it won't show any errors. Then we are just configure our XRDP's configuration. So for that, I use this command, which is nothing but sudo set minus e port 3389. So these port 3389 is actually a port which is we need to use for that remote desktop protocol. So we are just enabling it in our XRDP INI. And the next thing is we just use another command, sudo sed minus n s max ppt 32 max, and in that XRDP. So basically, here what we are doing is most of the people are using 3389, but while I work with that, 3389 is not actually working for me. So I just map that 3389 with 3390. So yeah, that's the simple configuration which I added in my XRDP. Now it's a time to check whether our service, which is actually we added like the background service. So we need to check whether if it's working or not. So for that, sudo system cpl daemon. Okay, daemon. Not good with films. Yeah, we are just updated, and now the time for rebooting the system, because we are just configure the root thing, right? That RDP, the basically the communication thing. So we need to reboot our system. So do reboot. It's rebooting. Now I need to log in again. Azure user. Yeah, I give a wrong password. Yeah. Now we check whether our XRDP service is running in background or not. We just use, I think it's running. Yeah, it's running. You can see that the override config etc system d that xrdp service.t, that active, it's running now. Now the next step is we need to like in our virtual machine internally we just forward our 3389 to 3390. But like apart from like outside of our virtual machine doesn't know which port I need to allow or not. For that, we need to enable the port in our security group. Like in AWS, we say it as a security group. In Azure, we say it as a network security group. So we need to enable that. So that's the next step. Here, you can go to network team, network settings. So in that, create a port tool, inbound port tool. In that, I need to add any and networking, add inbound tool. So here 3390. I think is it correct? 3390. Add inbound tool traffic, and it's a TCP because we just use a TCP connection like for that RTP via the RTP protocol. We just use the TCP. So here that rule name is allow RTP. I don't give any description. Source any, source port range is any. People can use any kind of port ranges. Destination is any, service is custom, and destination port range is 3390. Protocol is TCP, and the name is allow RTP. I just use add allow RTP 3390 any. We need, the next step is we need to check whether we can able to connect our Linux virtual machine with the proper GUI using that remote desktop in our Windows. So type remote desktop connection here. It shows computer. So in that you need to go to your overview section, and here you will get that public IP of your virtual machine. So you are going to that and add this, and don't forget to add your port number because port number is important. We just click connect. So it shows the identity of remote cannot be verified. Do you want to connect anyway? Like it's a test machine, right? So sometimes it shows a warning, but it doesn't matter. So don't ask again and click yes. I hope it will work. Yeah. Now it shows. I need to give my username here. Azure user, and the password. I just give. Then click OK. It will take around 1 minute, I think. Hmm. Yeah, it's working now. So here you can see the Linux GUI in our Windows machine. You are actually installing a Linux virtual machine. I think you will get the same exact GUI setup like this. So if you want to exit from this, just click exit. Your remote session will be discontinued. Okay, that's it, guys. So what we actually done in this setup is we just do that install the desktop and configure the XRDP, which is nothing but a remote desktop protocol, and we install that XFCE, which is nothing but a desktop environment for our Linux machine, and set up a security because RDP is by default not allowing all the open files to interact with that local machine. So we need to set up a proper system services for that, and we need to create a XRDP services which is actually run background in any time, because when sometimes if we close the application and it's not working, we can't able to connect with our Linux machine properly. So for that, we need to create a proper service and setup, and we connect it remotely. If you find this is helpful, drop a comment below, and don't forget to like and subscribe my channel. Thank you.